Today's video will be a tutorial on how to solve the 3x3 with a layer-by-layer method. So this process is an organized series of steps that include understanding how pieces move on the puzzle, as well as executing algorithms according to recognizable patterns. And at the end of the video, I will do a walkthrough solve that shows all of the steps happening one after another. So we need to be familiar with the three different pieces on a cube. We have these center pieces that denote what color each side should be, and they just rotate in place, so the centers will always be in the same spot. For example, on a scrambled cube, we know that this side needs to be blue because of its center. We have these edge pieces that have 2 colors, and then corner pieces that have 3 colors. Here is how movement on the cube is notated. The color doesn't matter, it's just how you are holding it, and then depending on what is solved and where you are in the process. We have the right face, and that would be R for clockwise, and then R prime for counterclockwise. The top is U, so U for clockwise, U prime for counterclockwise, F for clockwise, and then F prime for counterclockwise. Left face, so that would be L and L prime. The back, which would be B, and then B prime, and then the bottom, which is D and D prime. Our first step is to get a white cross. So we line up the edge pieces around the center to create this shape, and then we also want to make sure that these edges also match with their centers. And to get here, first we start off with making a flower pattern. So we have these white edges around a yellow center, and for now we are ignoring these parts of the edge pieces. So this step is entirely intuitive, meaning there are no algorithms. However, there are a few tricks to set up pieces to go into their slots. So first I want to find my yellow center, and it's right here. And there's a piece like this. You can see that it can easily be moved up to meet that yellow center. So then we want to look around the cube for another piece that has white on it. Here is one. We can just bring that up to meet the yellow center, and then same with this piece. And now we have this orange and white piece, but we can't just bring it up like this because that will knock this green and white piece out of its spot. So what we can do is just move this top and then move it into place. Here's another example of getting this flower pattern, and this time some of the edges are in the right spots, but they are flipped the wrong way. So what we can do is find an edge piece that is ready to move into its spot easily in one move, like that. And what this will do is kick out this incorrect piece, and when we do that, it actually sets it up to move into its spot. So again, here's an edge that is flipped the wrong way, and what we can do is find a different edge piece to kick it out of that spot. Here it is, here's that other piece, and since this is ready to just move into the correct spot, we can place the incorrect edge up here and then move it out. So we do two things when this happens. We put an edge in the correct spot, as well as set up the next one to go into the correct spot. Here's an example of if your last piece is on the bottom and it cannot be moved into its correct spot in one move. So when this happens, you can move it by 90 degrees, and then now this is in a position to move into a correct spot, but you don't want to kick out this piece, so you can just move the top and put it in place. Once you've gotten this pattern, your next step is to convert this to the white cross. In order to do this, look at this side of the edge piece, and you want to line it up over its center. So this orange one is already lined up, and all you are going to do is rotate this face 180 degrees down so that it meets the white center. So these are matched up, and I want to rotate that face down to meet the white center. And because each edge piece only has one matching center, you don't have to worry about messing up something that you've already established, because you have no reason to be moving these faces anymore at this time. Here is the green, and I want to match it with its center, and then send it down. And then we have one more, which is this red. We find its center and move it down. After we have the cross, our next step is to put in the corners and solve this first layer. So before you go on to the corners, you need to make sure that each edge piece is aligned between the correct centers. So you need to have these bars happening here. So if your cross looks fine up here, but not quite right on the sides, you need to make sure that they are aligned. And this can easily be fixed by moving the incorrect piece back up to the top, moving it over to the correct center, and when you move it down, you will place this correctly, as well as move the incorrect piece back into a spot where it can go into its home. Here is how you put in the corners. So there are multiple cases for how these corners can be oriented, as well as where they can be in the cube. So because these are corner pieces, they can only be in 8 different slots. So they can be in the top here, or they can be on the bottom. So what you need to do first is find a corner that has white on it. So here's one. It is the red, blue, and white corner, so I need to go find where the white, blue, and red centers are. Here's the blue one, red one, and white one. So I know that because of these centers, this corner needs to be blue, red, and white. So we find that piece. Here it is. And we just move it so that it is above where it needs to go. So just ignore the color of this piece. We only view it as a spot where this needs to go. So in order to put in this corner, we only need to look at which side the white is on. So in this instance, it's on the left. So once we have the corner above where it needs to go, we rotate this top in the direction that the white is facing, so that would be to the left. And then we move up the slot that this piece needs to go to. So once we move this to the left, we bring up this slot. And now what happens is this piece is now ready to move into this spot. And then we bring this piece back down. Here is a mirror case where the white is actually on the right. So the first thing I did was find a piece with white on it, and here it is. We align it over where it needs to go. So because this is white, orange, and blue, we found the white, orange, and blue corner piece. And so now since the white is on the right, we move the top in the direction that the white is pointing. And then we bring up the slot. So it's above its spot, we move it over, bring up the slot, and then replace this piece. Here is a case where the white is pointing up. So I have moved the piece over where it needs to go. Since this is the red, green, and white, we need to place it into the corner slot that has white, green, and red. So we need to force this piece so that it looks like the previous two cases where the white is either on the left or the right. So how we can do this is move either of these faces like this, and then because we've messed up this cross, we eventually need to put it back down. So when we move this, we need to take this piece and get it out of the way, and then we can put this back down to fix our cross and to bring the piece into a familiar case. And if I wanted to move this other side, it would be the same concept. So we move the left this time. That will bring up part of the cross, and we need to put that back down without changing this piece. So we move it out of the way. It's right here. And then we can put back our cross. So here it is, and then that piece is now in a familiar case. And we can do this. Here is what to do when a corner is in the bottom and it is not in the right slot, or it is rotated the wrong way. This corner needs to be right here, and this white needs to be facing down. So you can either put in the correct corner, so you can place this corner, which will kick this one out of the spot, or you can just move this out of its spot right away. So if you want to move this out of the spot right away, find the side that has the white sticker, move it up, and we've messed up our cross, so we need to get this out of the way so that it maintains its orientation while we put down the cross piece. So we find the side that has the white sticker, bring it up, move this out of the way, and we want to move it this way to put down the cross, because if we moved it like this, it's still not out of the way of getting moved when we put down the cross, because when we do this, now it's in a position where we need to move it around again to get into a more familiar case. So one more time, we find the side that has the white sticker, move it up, and then out of the way, and then we can put this back down. Find the side that has the white sticker, move it up, and then out of the way, and then we can put this back down to fix the cross. Now that we have solved the first layer, the next step is to solve these edge pieces. and doing so will solve the first 2 layers of the cube. And before starting this next step, you want to make sure that when the white is facing up, you have this sort of T pattern, which means you have all of the pieces facing the correct way and they're in the correct spot. Hold the cube so that the white is on the bottom and the yellow is on top. So we want to look around the cube for any piece that does not have yellow on it. And we want to find it in this up face. So we can't use that piece, this piece, or this piece. So it needs to be this one. So we align this side of the edge over its center. And we know that because this is blue and red, this edge needs to be blue and red. So we know this is the correct piece. So what we are going to do is make a bar like this. And what will happen is then we can do the same process that we did to put in the corner, but this time we will be putting in the corner and the edge, like this. So how do we get to this bar situation? If this is our target, we move the top away from the target like this. And then we move this corner piece up. Move this back so that it matches its center again. And then we messed up the cross, so when we bring this down, it will fix the cross as well as make the bar. Then you do the same process that you did when just putting in the corners. So the white is on the right, we move the corner the way the white is facing, bring up the other side, move in the corner and edge, and place it. Now we have the cross, its corners, and this edge. And I'll do a mirrored case. So now instead of having the edge matched up on the left, it is now matched up on the right. And so our goal when the pieces are like this is instead of getting a bar that is facing this way, we will be getting one that is facing this way. So here are the 2 pieces that I'm working with, this edge and the corner. Align this side of the edge over its center like this. Move it away from its target, which is right here. So the piece is here. I bring up the corner. Move this piece back to match the center. And then we messed up the cross, so when we bring this back down to match the white center, it will also create a bar. And now we have this. So we do the same thing that we did when putting in the corners, and we look at the white, it's facing to the left. So we bring the top to the left, bring up the slot. Now the slot is these 2 pieces, and put it in like that. So now we have 2 edges. So what happens when you look at the top and all of the edge pieces that you see have yellow? Well, this means that all of the edges that you need to be working with are either flipped the wrong way. So if this is the red and green center, this is the correct piece because of the red and green, but it's flipped the wrong way. Or it means that the edge piece is just completely in the wrong slot. So this blue and orange would have to go to the blue and orange slot. Here's how you would replace an incorrect piece with any yellow edge piece. The steps that involve the edge piece on the left, it would be like this. So move it away from its target, move the corner piece up, move this piece back toward the target, and then put the cross back down, which will move this. And then what you want to do is just put in this corner. So the white is facing to the right. We move it away, bring up its slot, place it in its slot, and then restore the cross. So now we have a yellow piece, a yellow piece, and a yellow piece, but this one is now free. And you'll notice that when I am doing these movements, I'm only moving a limited number of faces. Here are the two pieces that I want to work with. And so because I'm only worrying about these two faces and this piece, I only want to do movements that will place this piece up into the placeholder layer, and that will affect this piece. So I have no reason to do a movement like this because that hasn't affected this piece, and I haven't moved this piece into the placeholder layer. Once we solve the first two layers, our goal is now to get the yellow cross. Here's where the algorithms come in. So at this point, there are 3 different patterns that you want to look for. You can have the hook like this. You can have a bar, so ignore these corner pieces that just happen to be the correct color. You would just have the bar. And then you can have a dot. If I have this one, the hook, I want to align it so that it kind of opens up to the upper left. So this would be incorrect. You want to make sure it's facing like this. And you hold the cube so that the yellow is on top, and you want to do this algorithm that I will put up here. It's F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. And that gets us into the yellow cross. If you have the bar, then you want to do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And that will also give us the yellow cross. And if you have this dot, you can do either of the 2 previous algorithms and then do the algorithm that you didn't do according to what you have. So if I first did the algorithm for the hook, it would be F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. And then doing the algorithm for the hook gave me the bar. And then I would do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F. And that would give me the yellow cross. This next step involves only one algorithm, and it is to cycle these edge pieces so that they match both the yellow center and their corresponding center. So since we are going to move these edge pieces around so that they match the yellow and their corresponding center, we just want to rotate the top so that one of them matches. And when we do this algorithm, it will cycle these 3 edge pieces. So the algorithm goes R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, and then R prime. And now we need to do that again. So we hold the correct edge in front, and we do the same thing. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, and then R prime. And we look at our edges, and now they all match up. It just so happened that the corners are also oriented the right way, but this will not always happen. So what happens if no matter what you do, there are always 2 pieces that match up and 2 that do not? You can just rotate the top so that you are selecting a different piece to have stationary, and then do that algorithm again. And now we still have the 2 that are matching, so we just try that again. And now we have fixed that issue. So now there's only 1 that is matching. And the reason for this is when you are cycling these 3 pieces, if one is already solved, then no matter how you cycle it, you will never fix these 3 pieces. And that's when you need to break the cycle and start a new one. Now that we have placed these edges so that they are facing the correct way and above their center, the next thing we need to do is move around these corners so that they are in the correct spot but not necessarily facing the correct way. Here is a corner that is facing the correct direction but is incorrect because it would need to be green and orange, and this is green and red. This corner is actually in the correct spot because it's between the blue and orange. So look around your cube for a corner that is in the right spot. So here is one, and if none of the corners are in their right spot, that is fine. You can still do this algorithm. So with the corner in the correct spot, put it in the front right, and for no corners, you can hold the cube in any orientation, just as long as the yellow center is facing up. So I will put the algorithm up here. It's very symmetrical. So what you do is U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L. And that will have moved these 3 corners without touching this one. So if you look, they're still not in the right spot, so we need to do that algorithm again. U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L. Now these are in the right spot. You can just memorize the letters, but if you want a more visual representation, you can think of it as doing an up move with your right hand and then moving your right hand forward, up move with your left hand and then moving your left hand forward, up move with your right hand again and then moving your right hand back, and then up move with your left and then moving your left hand down. And that has cycled the corners so that they are in their right spot. The last step is to rotate these corners. Place the corner that you want to rotate in the front right spot and perform these moves. keep an eye on this piece. You don't need to worry about what's happening down here. So R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. And so this is messed up, but don't worry. All you want to do is, without moving the bottom two layers, just get another corner into its slot and perform the same thing. So R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. Now that has fixed this corner, and this is still messed up, but that's okay. Do not move the bottom two layers. All you want to do is place in another corner into the rotating slot and do the same moves. R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. And now you see that this is fixed, the bottom two layers, but you need to keep going. So R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, and D. Now that has fixed this. And if you have one corner left and this is messed up, that's actually a good thing, because once this gets rotated, it will also solve the bottom two layers again. So R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, and then one more time, R prime, D prime, R, D. And that has solved the cube. One more time fast, it would be, put this in the front right slot, so that's fixed, and you move in this corner, and you know that you should be in good shape because the corner needs to be twisted and this is jumbled. So that is how you solve the 3x3. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and if you still have additional questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Also, if enough people have the same question, I could always make a video addressing that. So I'll see you next time.